Peace and love, family. I am Ocean Yinka, your favorite womb goddess. And if we are meeting for the first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. Come on in, because you're going to love it here. 10 times out of 10, if you stumble across this content, that means that you are ready to tap into your soft girl era. So go ahead and hit that subscription button if you are looking for more content to help you be more feminine, to help you heal your womb trauma naturally, and to overall level up in your goddess energy. If we are not meeting for the first time, y'all already know what to do. Go ahead and hit that like button and that share button and drop some purple hearts down in the comments so that we can get in good graces with the YouTube guys. So, y'all, today we are talking about love. Never knew what I was missing. Y'all, we are talking about love. We are talking about love, unconditional love to be exact. And the intention of this video is to pose the question of, is unconditional love realistic? Is unconditional love the love that we should all strive to have? Or is it just some fairy tale Christian type of love? Let's have that discussion, y'all. If that's something that you want to talk about, stay tuned and join the conversation down in the comments. So let's go ahead and get into it, you guys. The reason why I wanted to make this video is because I've been having a lot of conversations on other platforms in my comments where people are saying that unconditional love is typically, when people say they have unconditional love, that they usually don't have boundaries. They're usually somebody who's easily manipulated. They're naive, because the only people that have unconditional love is parents with their children. And it's not really, or, you know, your pets with you, like dogs have unconditional love. But when we talk about unconditional love, we're talking about that agape love. And a lot of times when we hear that in religion as well. So we hear, you know, God loves us unconditionally, but we are not God. And we need to have love. I mean, we need to have boundaries when it comes to our loves. We need to have conditions when it comes to our love. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about it. And let's see if by the end of this video, let me know if you are someone who practices unconditional love. And the reason why I have this conversation with some people, because I will admit, I have learned how to love unconditionally. Do I personally believe that it's something that is achievable here as humans having human experiences? Absolutely. I 100% believe that. And my reasoning is because I always say, if I am God, if I have God within me and I am God and I see myself as God, if God can love me unconditionally, I can also love unconditionally. That's all I say. That's all I say. And people be having their panties in a bunch. But I truly feel that if God can love unconditionally, so can I. And I had to learn how to love unconditionally. That was not something that I was taught how to do, because most people love in other love languages or other love types, categories. They love in a different way, so they don't understand what true agape love is. So we're going to break down the different types of love and then the different type of love languages, and we're going to have a little discussion about that, you guys. So I have my notes here. And you know, if I'm looking down, I'm looking at my notes, but there are a lot of different types of love. There are a lot. I want to say it's like 12 different types of love, but I think I have 6 of them here that I want to highlight, because these are the majority of the ones that most people experience. So just for me to go through them, the first love that a lot of people experience is eros love. This is the romantic love. This is the passionate love. This is when we say we're digmatized. This a lot of times that's the type of love that we have, or that we are expressing, eros love. Then we have filial love. Filial love is affectionate love. Affectionate love can be with your platonic friends. It could be with, you know, like when I tell you guys, love you guys at the end of my video, this is me practicing filial love with you guys, because although I don't really know you personally, I still have affection and love for you, being a part of my tribe, being as someone who is helping me, you know, grow my YouTube and taking my content and utilizing my content. Like, we're on the same frequency. So I am expressing filial love when I say that. Then you have philautia love. Philautia love is self-love. The way that you love yourself, self-explanatory. You know, it's the way that you love yourself, the way that you praise yourself. That is philautia love. Then we have the storge love. The storge love is And all of these are Greek terms, you guys. This is from the Greek terms. So that's the reason why the pronunciation, I have them here so I can make sure I'm not, butchering the words. But all of these are Greek terminology. So we have the storge love, and this is the familiar love. The familiar love is what you would have as a parent to your child, what you would have as a parent to your child. And I want you guys to remember that one, familiar love, or that storge love. I want you guys to remember that, because we're going to come back to that. We also have the mania love, which is the obsessive love. When we talk about fatal attraction and people being in, like, what do you call it? What is it? Blueface in Krishana. They display mania love for one another. As we can see in the public, they display a lot of mania love, that obsessive love, that, I don't want you talking to nobody else. Like, you better not look at nobody else. Like, why are you talking to that girl? Who is looking at you? Like, that's that obsessive, that mania love, that crazy love that we have for each other. And then we have the agape love, which is unconditional love. This is the love for mankind, the love for your animals, the love for people, trees, and everything else that interconnects to make this being, this human experience, all work together, loving life for what it is as a being. That is that agape love. It does not come with conditions. It is selfless. That's the type of love that I strive to have. So when we're breaking down those loves, the reason why I say let's go back to the storge love, which is the familiar love, the love that you will have as a parent or a child. A lot of times in a discussion, when I'm having this discussion with people, a lot of them say, the only people that have or practice, the only time we really practice unconditional love is a mother to her child. That's the only time we really truly practice unconditional love. And I want to beg to differ that, because there are a lot of mothers who do not love their children. And there are a lot of, and agape love is not necessarily familiar love. Like, that unconditional love and familiar love are not the same thing. So we have to be, to the reason why I said, let's break down the different types of love, because in all honesty, if you feel like, the only time somebody can be loved unconditionally is if they're a baby, that's still not true, because that's not necessarily unconditional love. It's just loving something that is a part of you. It's just loving something that, came from you. That's just storge love. Like, that's a different type of love. That is not necessarily agape love, because if you also look at it, some of us have parents. Say you have parents that loved you. Parents that loved you, or showed that storge love to you. That does not mean that their love was selfless. A lot of parents still love with the conditions of how they love. Like, oh, I'm gonna do this for you, or I'm gonna put you here, I'm gonna do this to you because I love you, but it's not for your best interest. It's because it's better for them. It's not selfless. It's still very selfish how they are loving you, but they're saying they're doing it for your best interest, or they love you. That does not mean that they don't love you. It just means that is not unconditional love. It's not unconditional love. You can do something that they don't necessarily like and they still love you, but that's still not unconditional love. That's still not selfless love. And that's the word that I want you guys to practice when you're hearing unconditional. I want you to use that interchangeably, just for the sake of this video. When you hear unconditional, just replace that word in your mind with selfless. If you're talking about unconditional, it's selfless. The way a dog would love their owner, that is selfless love. You could have just literally starved me for a week and abused me, and a dog is still going to love you regardless. That is selfless love. That is unconditional love. The way the divine loves you, although you continue to mess up, you continue to be disobedient, you continue to do things that harm yourself or harm the people around you, that is selfless love. So when we say unconditional love, is it possible to have love that is selfless? So I personally believe that it is so. If you disagree, let me know down in the comments. Or if you agree, let me know down in the comments, and let's have a conversation about it. But I believe that there's a such thing as selfless love. So if we go to the other categories of love, when should you practice unconditional love? This is the main question that I feel. This is the main thing that I want to question and bring to you guys. Like, when should you practice unconditional love? Is everybody deserving of unconditional love? That's the main question. That's the main thing that I feel like people are looking at different things. Am I practicing unconditional love with every single person, thing, and being? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Everybody does not deserve unconditional love. However, Can I practice it within a romantic relationship? Absolutely. Can I practice it platonically? Absolutely. How do you practice unconditional love? How do you have selfless love? A lot of people, when they're saying they love somebody, and I see this a lot too. Like, you guys, we see this on social media. Like, when we see people saying you can't be in love. What is your definition of being in love? My definition of being in love is unconditional love. If you are not in love with me, like if you just have romantic love for me, if you only have affectionate love for me, if you only have, playful love for me, that's another type that we didn't discuss, but ludus love, I believe it's ludus, Ludus. That's that playful love that when you meet somebody for the first time, that honeymoon phase, that, infatuation type of love. That's also a different type of love. So when we tell people like, oh, you don't love me, you just, because that's my favorite line, y'all. I say that all the time. Like, say one of my exes are trying to get at me or something like that, I'll be like, nigga, you don't miss me, you don't love me, you just love this ass. Like, you just want to spin around another block because you love this pom-pom. Like, that's what I be saying. But that is actually a form of love, romantic love. You can love the cat, and that's still a form of love. So I had to check myself, like, this man really do love me, even if it's just the passionate sex that we have, or the passionate conversations that we have, because we tended to have spicy conversations. Y'all know I consider myself a thought leader. I consider myself somebody who provokes the hard questions and provokes people to think outside of their norm. So in my relationships, I do the exact same thing. And a lot of people find that attractive because it makes them to question the way that they feel. I'm not here to argue with you. I'm not here to tell you that this is law. My only job is to provoke another perspective, so you can, because a lot of people only think in their default version. Like, they only have opinions on things that other people have told them, and other things that they have agreed to. They have assigned themselves to that agreement. But that doesn't mean that it makes sense. That doesn't mean that it's law or anything else. It just means that that's the only thing that you know about. So, getting back on topic, when it comes to unconditional love, how do I personally practice unconditional love? I just learned how to love unconditionally, like, in the last 2 years. I want to say since 2020, I learned how to love unconditionally. I always thought being in love was superficial. I always thought that, when people say, oh, I'm falling in love, or love is blind, I always thought that was a cop-out for people to do dumb shit and be able to justify it because love is blind, or the heart wants what the heart wants, so all your common sense just goes away. And I still feel like that for the majority of people who use that term. But when it comes to unconditional love, how did I learn how to love unconditionally? How did I learn how to love unconditionally? Was me experiencing somebody who had a lot of things that I didn't necessarily agree with. Like, they dealt with they had a lot of baggage. They had a lot of, their background wasn't really something that I was used to. The way that they loved me was not something that I was used to. The way that they interacted with me, they weren't, it's different. It was just different. The experience with them was different. On a spiritual level, not just in the physical, but on a spiritual level, the connection was different. And being that I felt something different when I was with him, I didn't really care about all the other stuff. I was loving him the way he needed to be loved, because this is somebody who had been, they had a really rough past, like, a lot of time in prison, not really knowing what real love is, because they spent a lot of their life in prison, family chaotic and things like that, not having a father around and things like that. It was just a very chaotic upbringing. So I had to learn how to love selflessly, because normally I would be like, you don't know how to love me. I don't really like the way that you showing love, so I'm out. That's normally how I would move. Like, if you can't love me the way that I need to be loved, I'm gonna be out. But I was patient with him. There was something about his energy that was just like, spirit was just like, be patient with him. You don't have to love, like, he doesn't have to be loving you the way that you are used to be in love, for him to still have love for you, or for him to still care about you. And regardless, this is another thing. regardless of how he loves you, are you still willing to love him? Because it was a plenty of times where I was saying, like, you don't love me. You don't care about me at all because of the way that you are expressing it. You don't love me at all. You don't really care about me at all. You're selfish. And unconditional love is being able to say, do I still love you regardless? Regardless, as long as it's not, and I'm not even going to say, put no even speculations on it. I wouldn't even say as long as he's not harming you or whatever. Regardless of what, being able to love somebody beyond the way that they love you. It doesn't matter how they love you. You still love them. That is unconditional love. And I experienced that. Does that mean that I was going to stick around and be disrespected? Absolutely not. Does that mean that I'm going to stick around and allow you to just not meet any of my standards, or you don't have to put in forth any effort or anything like that, or I shouldn't see any growth? Absolutely not. That is not what any of that means. What it means is, regardless of that, I'm not, my love for you is not based off how you love me. My love for you is not based off of, how appreciative you are or whatever. I just love you for you being exactly who you are. If you are somebody who's not really good at communicating, which is a very big thing for me. Sorry, y'all. I've been eating peanuts. I had some peanuts in my tea. My bad. But when it comes to unconditional love, I'm not able to love you regardless of whether, like, I was huge on communication. Like, I'm still huge on communication. Like, I am somebody who expresses how I feel openly and honestly up front. I don't wait 2-3 years later to bring something up, or months later. I'm gonna bring it up in that moment. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna get past it, because I know life is too short to be holding grudges and everything else. So if I have a problem, I am very vocal in my relationships. He was the complete opposite. Like, he didn't know how to express his love. He didn't know how to talk about anything. He would shut down and run from conflict. So I wouldn't hear from you for 2 or 3 days because you think I'm about to argue, and we ain't never had an argument a day in our lives. But you think that being that it's an uncomfortable conversation for you, that I'm going to be angry, because that's what you're used to. I had to be patient and say, this is how he expresses, this is how he avoids conflict, from running from it. If I'm choosing to love you, it doesn't matter. I'm going to express that. I'm going to tell you that I don't like that. I'm going to tell you that that's something that we need to work on. And it is up to me whether I want to stay around and still give you my energy when I'm not being loved correctly or the way that I want to be loved. But unconditional love is saying, regardless of that, I still love you. Regardless of whether you are meeting all these requirements enough, I still have love for you. And then the question is, what is love? What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more. But what is love, y'all? What is y'all definition of love? Because love has, clearly it has a lot of different forms of love, but what do you consider love? I don't feel like love has an explanation. I don't feel like love can be defined. Love is a feeling. Love is something that you just know when it's there, and you know when it's not. That's how I learned that I can love unconditionally. It was not, I literally thought that it was not possible for me to be in love, or for me to have this fairy tale type of love that everybody talks about. Like, oh, you don't, I used to always say, maybe that was me jinxing myself, but I used to always say, I can never be in love because I never want to be stupid for nobody like that. I never want to completely remove logic when it comes to decision making, because I love somebody so much. And when I realized that that's not what being in love is unconditionally loving. If you are in a marriage, you should be practicing unconditional love. If you are with somebody, it should be more than just romantic love, because romantic love is just the passion. Like, you're not gonna always feel passion. You're not gonna always feel like sexually aroused in relationships. You're not gonna always be physically attracted to your partner. So that eros love is gonna eventually fade out. You need to be practicing unconditional love, because guess what? If you are with somebody and you're marrying them with the intentions of being with them for the rest of your life, there are going to be changes in that life. Like, I would hope that you are growing and evolving individually. And if you are growing and evolving individually, how are you expecting to still love somebody on the same level, or love the same person? They're not going to be the same person in 3 to 5 years. They're not going to be the same person in 10 years. Loving unconditionally unconditionally is saying, no matter who you evolve into, I still have love for you. I'm still going to be able to love you the exact same way. And just because you've changed does not mean my love for you changes. That is what we should be striving for in relationships that we are bonding with. The same thing comes for me. Anybody in my interpersonal circle, I have to practice unconditional love for them. You let me know where you want to have, where you feel like it's appropriate to have unconditional love, because a lot of people, and then also looking at parents, the reason why I say that storage love, that familiar love is not agape love, because there are some parents who no longer love their children once they find out that they, I don't want to be heterosexual. They don't love their children unconditionally when they marry somebody that they don't approve of. There's a lot of people who get disowned in their family when they make certain decisions. So that is not agape love. But I strive that everybody that is close to me in a personal relationship, this goes for my assistant, this goes for my sisters, this goes for my best friend, no matter where you are in life, I still love you if I've chosen, because no, this is not for everybody. I do not believe that everybody deserves agape love, because that is earned. That is earned. In my opinion, that is earned. Yes, everything, when it comes to nature, I love everything in nature. I love everything in nature. But do I feel like having that supreme agape love is realistic when it comes to any and everything? Absolutely not, because I don't love you. If I just met you in the grocery store, yes, I have love for you. I have filial love for you. I might have that filial love for you just as human to human exchange. I might have that, that affectionate love for you. And that might not even be that deep. Like it still might not be really considered a filial love, because I don't really know you like that. That could still be a form of unconditional love. If you're giving to the homeless, that's still a form of unconditional love, because that is also love of mankind. That is love of mankind. Like, I think we get too deep with it. So love of mankind, I take that back. Should you be practicing unconditional love with everybody? Yes, I take that back. Yes, you should be practicing it with everybody, because the way that you love somebody else should not be in condition of how they love you. I forgot who I was watching an interview of, and they were saying something along the lines, I think it was Donnie Wiggins on the Social Proof podcast, and she was saying that her significant other had told him that, she loved him, and he didn't say nothing back. And she was just like, okay, I said I loved you. And he was like, okay, thank you. And she's like, thank you? What do you mean, thank you? And he was like, yeah, thank you. Like, I appreciate you loving me. And she was like, well, you're supposed to say it back. Like, okay, so you only love me if I'm telling you I love you back? Do I not show you that I love you every single day? Or is it your love for me is only conditioned if I'm verbally telling you I love you back? Is your love for me only conditioned if I'm doing XYZ for you? Your love should be unconditional, because how you love should not be dictated by nobody else. How you love for somebody, like if I love nature, how can I be mad when there's a thunderstorm outside when it was necessary? I don't know what was needed across the street. It might have been a drought down the road. I don't know. How can I say I hate the rain? How can I say I hate the snow when the divine knew that there was that needed to happen? That cycle needed to happen. How can I say I hate that just because the sun isn't shining, that I hate the weather? That's unconditional love. With anything else in nature or any other person that you come across, that's just being selfless. That does not mean I have to love you. I have to love like everything about you, or I have to love you in a way that I'm just allowing things that it harms me. Let me say that. You should not be loving anything or loving to the point where it comes obsessive. And I feel like that's what majority of people in relationships, they are obsessive to the point where if you are not loving me under these conditions, or if you're not behaving in a certain way, I don't love you anymore. I don't like this. I start to act angry. I start to, act jealous. I start to move in a way that's not healthy or conducive to my wellness. I start moving like that because you're not loving me the way that I want you to love. Nobody should be able to dictate how you love. What somebody else does should not have anything to do with how you love. And that is how we practice unconditional love. That is how we Somebody can wrong us and we can still move in love. That is what I consider unconditional love. I can still handle you in love. Maybe it's time for us. You continue to disrespect me. You continue to cheat on me. You continue to, not live up to my boundaries and things that I have set for you. That is okay. It is not my responsibility to train you how to love me. It is my only job to be around you and see how you love and decide whether I want to be a part of that or not. That's the only decision that you need to make. Do I want to be around the way that you love? I don't really fuck with it like that. So I'm gonna have to pass. That don't got nothing to do with how I love you though. I still got love for you, kid. I just can't love you the way that you want me to love you. I can't love you from in this marriage. Maybe I can love you from a platonic point. Maybe I can still love you and give you what you need and hope for the best for you and send you best wishes and pray for your wellness and your healing, for you to get the love for yourself. Get the love for yourself that you need. A lot of people cannot practice unconditional love because they do not have they don't have love for themselves. They don't have that, philatia love for themselves. They don't have that philatia love. So if they don't have love for themselves, how would it be possible for them to love anything else? How is it? I feel like if you don't have philatia love, you can't even utilize any of these other love languages, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be a little toxic because it's going to be very conditional. I only got passion or romantic love for you if you performing in bed this way. I only love you as my child like this as long as you're obedient to me. I only love you as a friend as long as you help me take my hair out when I need you to help me take my hair out, or we can go to brunch together. But I don't really love you if you ain't making the same amount of money as me. I don't really love you if you dating this guy that I don't really fuck with. Like, if you don't know how to love yourself unconditionally, you're not going to be able to perform it for nobody else. But some of you guys don't love yourself. You don't love yourself from the way that you treat yourself, the way that you talk to yourself. We are our biggest critics. So how you feel about yourself, how you talk down on yourself, bro, I'm so stupid. I don't know why I keep making this stupid decision. Like, I ain't got no sense. Like, I'm not pretty. We talk down on ourselves all the time. So if you are not able to love self, it is not possible for you to love anybody else. It's just not possible. And then we go into the different love languages. There are different types of love languages, which we know are, the words of affirmation, physical touch, acts of services, receiving gifts, and quality time. Those different types of love would be how we express our love. However, we also have to know how to receive love. That's also reciprocity when it comes. You shouldn't be somebody who likes to just receive love and you ain't giving it to nobody. And you shouldn't be somebody who just gives out love and you never getting it back. That should be a beautiful exchange. There should be a beautiful exchange. So a lot of people like to, for one, I love people initially. And I feel like this is what most of us, we love people the way that we want to be loved at first. And then we have to learn how they want to be loved for it to last. I feel like a lot of people love, especially men, they love the way that because most men think that women just want the money. So as long as I'm spending time with you and I'm spending money on you, that's it, that's all. But if I'm somebody who likes acts of service and you can't even wash my car, you can't even put gas in my car, you can't even help me wash my hair or nothing like that, then that money don't mean nothing. Or you spending all day with me don't really mean nothing. If my love language is acts of service, if that's how I want to be loved. So we have to start off, I feel like we start off with, loving how we want to be loved, because that's the first love that we know. I'm somebody who, and your love languages change as well, because my love language for a very long time used to be gifts. That used to be my thing all the time. And that's because that's how I grew up. Like, my parents, I didn't grow up in a household with hugs and kisses and I love yous and nothing like that. It was, we get into it about something and then, hey, let's go to Cato's. Let's go to Penny's. Let's go shopping or something. But it was like, let me throw money at you. Do I know my parents love me? Absolutely. But what did I feel like they practiced agape love for me? Absolutely not. Their love for me was very conditional. It was conditional of whether I was staying in line and doing what I was told, which that was never the fucking case. So, it was very conditional. And then acts of service, not acts of service, with as I'm growing, as I'm developing, as I started to love myself differently, it changed from that to acts of service. It changed from receiving gifts, like that's still like my top 2 or 3. But you know, the way that I receive love, I would rather to receive love with acts of service. I don't really need words of praise, but I've started to now enjoy, words of praise and affirmations and things like that to affirm me. Let me know that you love me. Let me know that you appreciate me. I love that. And I started to learn that as I became a content creator. Like, I really be like, oh my gosh, I really appreciate y'all when y'all be in the comments and y'all like, you know, you really helped me with this. Like, I really needed this. Like, that gets me going. Like, I'm fueled by that. So I had to learn how to be loved by multiple people, or learn how to love in different relationships and different connections, for me to realize, like, it ain't always about the gifts. It's not always about you spending money on me. I also love when you're doing things for me, when you're being thoughtful and you just wanted to help me do this, like helping me pack orders and stuff like that. I love that, because that's something that you doing. Like, I ain't never really been too fan of, you know, physical touch. Like, I ain't really that ever that fond of physical touch, but you know, that's always has been my least most. Like, you ain't gotta spend that much time with me, and you ain't really gotta touch me like that for me to feel love, because I didn't grow up getting hugs and kisses. I didn't grow up like, being that affectionate like type. Like, I was not that person, so I don't need that to feel love. So I hope that this information was helpful for you guys. Make sure you give me a thumbs up if this was helpful to you, so that I can continue to make more content that you guys love and enjoy. Let me know down in the comments as well, if you practice, or what type of love do you practice the most, or do you even think that you are able to practice unconditional love? Do you feel like it's realistic even after this information, or do you still feel like, you know, I'd rather categorize it in all the other ones? Let me know down in the comments. And thank you guys for watching this video. I do appreciate you guys. Every like, every share, every comment, it does do something for the algorithm. So I do appreciate that. Make sure that you are subscribed, because there's plenty more videos where this came from. Bye.